Hi horror fans, today I'm going to be doing my review of the new Blair Witch movie.
Blair Witch.
This movie, directed by Anna Wingard, is a sequel to the previous Blair Witch Project movie released in 1999, and it makes the very wise decision to disregard The Book of Shadows, which was the rushed cash-in movie released the year after. Shh, we don't talk about that movie. After viewing a video that could possibly explain his sister Heather's disappearance 22 years prior, James and a group of friends venture into Black Hills Forest in Maryland to see if they can uncover the mystery. Ooh. They have expanded and explained a little more about the Blair Witch story and how she met her grisly end. It kind of explains the weird twig models that are showing up and the piles of rocks. And this is definitely what I wanted from the sequel. I wanted a little bit more explanation about the actual mythology. There are some really interesting characters in this film. Brandon Scott, who plays Peter, brings in some much needed comedic relief at the start of the film, where they're kind of setting up like what's going on. Paranormal enthusiast couple Lane and Talia, played by Wes Robinson and Valerie Curry, are perfect for this film, as I feel like they represent us, the fans of the original movie. They're even talking about the original movie like it's a real thing. There are some really scary scenes in this film, particularly when they end up in the house where Heather met her demise. I was getting serious flashbacks to 1999 when I watched the original film for the first time. As this film takes place 22 years later, there's been a vast improvement in video quality that are available to the masses. And so in the film, they are using that technology, but I feel this takes away from the charm that the original movie had. It looks too slick, too produced, and too much like any other Hollywood movie that you would get. The original, it looked amateur, and that's what gave it its believability. I will say this about the spooky sounds that are in this film. They feel like they were made in a recording studio and they did not feel real. In the original, I think the directors actually went to the actors' tents and started banging on the tents, so those sounds were real and they sounded real. To continue with the theme of talking about believability and authenticity, the fact that the sequel is scripted takes me out of the situation and makes me feel like I'm just watching a film instead of watching these people actually going through real life events. The original Blair Witch Project was ad-libbed by the actors, and you can definitely tell like it feels real. The plot is also very similar to the original movie, so they had to come up with different things to kind of spice it up, make it a bit different. And it seems they've just kind of gone down the jump scare route. There was just jump scare after jump scare, literally every 2 minutes in one part of the film. So by the time the real scares came along, I was just so over it and not really bothered about what was going on. It was tiring to be jumping that many times in a row. It was exhausting, and not in a good psychological way. It was just loud noises making me jump. There's a really out of place scene that is just gratuitous gore, and it felt a little bit cheap, like it was trying to please the masses. I have a quote here from director Eduardo Sanchez, who directed the original Blair Witch. "We wanted to put a level of realism back into horror films. The gore had kind of taken over. There was very little imagination." So I guess that sentiment was put in the corner and left there to die. You know, if you've got a cut on your leg and why would you film it? You wouldn't film it. That's what bothers me. She's in a lot of pain. Why would you then want to put a camera on it? Surely your first thought would be, I'm going to sort my leg out. So taking Eduardo Sanchez's quote saying there was no imagination, this film shows you too much. You see the witch, for Christ's sake, and it looks like something out of a video game. I don't need to see the witch. I don't want to see the witch. I want it to be shrouded in shadows. I want to, it makes me so mad. I feel like this is the franchise that needs the mystery to set it apart from all the other found footage films that Hollywood just seems to be churning out because they're cheap to make and they make a lot of money. It's the mystery that sets it apart from everything else. So I feel like this sequel was a bit generic, a bit like every other found footage movie ever. The original left me with so many questions, and this film just left me with one. Why did I waste my money on this garbage? I'm going to give this movie a 4 out of 10. I feel like it has lost what made the original film so great. The original came out when, the internet was fairly new, technology was very limited, and the hype of that movie was spread by word of mouth, people discussing whether it was real. I mean, you really don't see anything in that film, and that's what made it realistic and mysterious. The Blair Witch 2016 movie has about as much mystery as a porn star's vagina. Well, that was my review of Blair Witch 2016, the sequel. I tried to keep it brief and spoiler-free, and in my opinion, I still think that you should go see this movie if you're a fan of Blair Witch, because honestly, this is just my opinion, and you might love it. It is very much down to your preference in what you enjoy in a movie. Please subscribe if you want to see any more reviews or anything else horror or Halloween related, and hopefully I will see you next time. Bye!